I go to the Society for Threatened Peoples. Is that group?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Mongolians were never a minority in their own land north of the Great Wall. However, this began to change in 1949 when the Chinese regime took control of the region and launched a settler colonial project. Over seven decades of genocide, ethnic cleansing...
Sorry, Speaker, we have a point of order from China.
Madam Chairwoman, China is compelled to speak to the organization of that so-called NGO that or representative used the term, spoke in favor of the separatist movement, which violates the territorial integrity and sovereignty of China. That also greatly represents an attack on the spirit of the Charter of the United Nations. Madam Chair, you will surely not allow that representative to continue to express themselves. Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Speaker, can you please bear in mind the very explicit remarks that have been made by China, and I ask you to follow, I will come to you, Iran, I ask you to follow the protocols that I've already asked all of you to follow during this session and during every other session, the UN protocols. I appreciate your concerns, I appreciate the difficulty in doing so, but I think it's in all of our interest to ensure that everybody here can have an opportunity to speak the things that they want to speak about. Iran, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Iran echoes the stance of distinguished delegation of China. It's so regrettable that some NGOs, in spite of a lot of reputation that you are requesting them, are still speaking against the rule of the meeting and violating very basic rules and principles. We request you, Madam Chair, to consider the position of the states. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Thank you, China. I am endeavouring to consider the position and the concerns of everybody in the room, and in particular also your own concerns. Speaker, can I ask you to continue, and can I please ask you to bear in mind the comments have been made?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Over 7 decades of genocide, ethnic cleansing, and population transfer, Mongolians have been reduced to an absolute minority in their ancestral homeland. Today, the Chinese government is implementing a new form of genocide, cultural genocide, aimed at the complete eradication of Mongolian language, culture, and identity. Under a newly adopted language policy, the Mongolian language has been completely banned throughout the entire educational system in the region. Textbooks in Mongolian have been replaced with the Chinese language materials, and Mongolian science publications and even extracurricular learning of the language have been prohibited. Public campaigns with slogans like "Speak Chinese and become a civilized person" openly promote Chinese supremacy. Enforcing a mass indoctrination program called the Firm Inculcation of the Chinese Nationality Common Identity. The Chinese government is criminalizing Mongolians for expressing their cultural pride, speaking their language, or even wearing their traditional clothing. Communication in Mongolian is prohibited not only in a public life but also in many part of private settings. These systemic policies are compounded by further acts of abuse that highlight the hostile environment faced by the Mongolians. In a recent case, a 9-year-old Mongolian girl was severely beaten by her Chinese teacher for her limited understanding of Chinese and her inability to complete homework in the language. The assault left the girl with a torn ear and severe bleeding.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sorry, time is up. I move to the Association Le Droit de l'Homme et le Développement Durable.